What kind of stories can you share with us about your home ownership experiences? The worst, the best?
Well, I'm a great believer in home ownership to start. And I'm fortunate that I owned my first home after I got my first job, which was a good connection to make. I had gone to Stanford University, and I was making not very much money at all, because first-year professors in 1981 were not paid very much. I think I was making $20,000 a year, and somebody said, "You have got to buy a house. Stanford has all of these plans." And so I bought a 2-bedroom, 1-bath walk-up that was, you could see every spot in it from standing in one place. And the funny part about it, though, is those of you who are California realtors will especially appreciate this. It was Palo Alto, California. So I had to call my aunt, the one that I referenced in my speech, to get the trust broken. My grandfather had left a little money to get the down payment. She lived in Edwardsville, Illinois. And she said, yes, and I said, "Aunt Teresa, I need a down payment." She said, "How much does this house cost?" I said, $117,000. She said, "Don't you think that's a little above your means?" But literally it was 2 bedrooms and 1 bath in Palo Alto, California. So that was my first home, and I've owned 5 since. And I just got through renovating a brand new townhouse in Palo Alto, lived through the renovation, and I'm now ready to receive guests for Thanksgiving. So that's my
On a more serious note, what do you see as the greatest threat to America?
Well, in some ways, the issues that I raised at the end, you know, if we are not true to who we are, particularly in terms of our ability to make sure that everybody feels upwardly mobile in this society. I used to have European friends who would say to me, "Why does the United States have no socialist parties, you know, far left parties?" I would say, because look, if Americans are not doing very well, they're sure their children will do better. And you worry a little bit that we've lost that sense, especially for poorer people, that indeed they're going to do better. And that's directly related to the educational system. Because I don't believe anybody can outcompete the United States if we're confident and if we're training our people well. So that to me is an internal problem. In terms of external threats, I don't see any single country that is a great threat to us. Iran is a very dangerous country, but it has its own vulnerabilities. And if we use our policy levers well against Iran, I think we will be able to handle the Iranian threat, although it's a very dangerous country. The countries that are most dangerous are failed states. Afghanistan, because you see, failed states, they don't govern their territory. So what happens when they don't govern their territory? Drug runners, terrorists, people who traffic in people, all arms runners, all use the territory, and that's how Al-Qaeda used Afghanistan to plot against us. So states that can't control their own territory are in many ways the most dangerous. Afghanistan, Pakistan has parts of Pakistan that would be a failed state with nuclear weapons. That would be extremely dangerous. And we are sitting here in San Diego. I have to tell you that the border between the United States and Mexico, there are parts of that border that are also not controlled or controlled by the cartels, the drug cartels. So dealing with failed states is probably the greatest threat to us.
Gee, I will be in trouble with a lot of people if I don't ask this question. Where do you see women's rights moving in the world? And can you ever foresee a time that there will be a woman president of the United States of America?
Woo! Connie! Connie!
I have no doubts that
Connie Rice! That's right!
I have no doubts that there will be a woman president, but not this one. But there will be a woman president. I don't have any doubt about it. What happens? It's important to recognize that we don't get our presidents just from out of the blue. Our presidents come come from two pools. They come from governors and they come from senators. With very few exceptions, usually in wartime, right after wartime, we'll elect a general. But overwhelmingly, they have come from the Senate or from the governorships. I think once in this period of time, we've had someone who was a congressman. So when you ask yourself, will there be a woman? Ask yourself, how many women are you starting to see as governors or senators? And you'll know that we're developing the pool that will then promote people into positions where they might be elected president. Now, in the world, women's rights is more of a problem, particularly in the Middle East. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, and let me tell you, societies that do not treat women decently are dangerous societies, because they really do suppress one of the most vital and vibrant forces in their societies. If you go to poor countries and you can give women little microloans, for instance, they will put whole villages to work in textiles or in food processing or something of the kind. But one of the most heartening things to me as I was going around as secretary was that I would go to some very conservative Muslim country and some extremely conservative cleric who couldn't shake my hand because I was a woman. Shia clerics cannot touch women, so he couldn't shake my hand. But then at the end of the meeting, he would say, would you wait here just 1 minute? I'd like you to meet my granddaughter. And out would come some little covered 13-year-old girl. And she would say, oh, I see you on television. I want to be just like you. And he would just beam. And I thought, even with his prejudices, he wants something better for his granddaughter. And if we can keep building on that worldwide, I think women's empowerment will take a turn for the better.
Wonderful guest. The final question I would ask is, what is your favorite memory of the White House?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. Well, let me first just say something about the White House, which is that maybe some of you have visited there on tours and whatever. It's a modest place. It is not really grand in the sense that the Kremlin is grand or Buckingham Palace is grand. It is a place that's befitting a republic. And I have really two favorite memories. One from my first time there, which is kind of funny, and then a more serious one. The one from when I was there from 1989 to 1991 was that I went into the Oval Office for the first time. And I was the note taker for a meeting between President George H.W. Bush and the American ambassador to the Soviet Union, who was back reporting. And I was sitting there and I was looking around and I thought, wow, this is the Oval Office. And they were about 20 minutes into the meeting when I realized I had not taken a single I was so taken with the place. But perhaps my favorite memory of the White House is walking into the Oval Office with any leader from a foreign country who walks into that Oval Office for the first time. It is small, and it's quiet, and it's peaceful, and you know by the look in their eyes that they know that they are in a shrine to democracy. That the Oval Office of the United States of America is bigger than any person who might occupy it. That the Oval Office of the United States of America has been the place where so many decisions have been taken, some good, some not so good, but always in hopes of defending freedom. And people are moved by it. And I don't care whether it's the President of Mexico with whom I walked into that Oval Office, or a Middle Eastern leader with whom I walked into that Oval Office, or Vladimir Putin, who walked into that Oval Office and looked at it and said, it's so beautiful. The Oval Office has a certain power, and it's not because of its occupant. it's because of what it stands for, and that is America